Never stop improving. Spend an hour with us every month with our short courses to build your skills fast. Only available on the Josh Vegan membership. One of your jobs as an agent is to drive urgency in non-competitive markets. Because let's face it, if we needed to have 25 people at every open over 4 weeks to actually create a competitive auction situation, then we're only going to be successful in a wafer thin amount of the actual property transactions that happen in Australia. How do you drive that competition? Well, one of the key things that you could do is you got to think about what you're doing before you go to launch a property on market. And some of our agents have been taking the advice of actually getting buyers to the photo appointment, because when they've got the photographer there taking the photos, there's that heightened level of compression selling, because all of a sudden we know the property is going to be coming to market and we need to act quickly. One of the other things that you could do is that you could actually have a second buyer at each individual buyer appointment. That way, one buyer's at 4 o'clock, another one's at 4:15, they overlap and see each other. Now all of a sudden they think someone else is going to buy the property and they want to move forward in their offer sequence. Other great things you could do is maybe have a tape measure with you at each and every individual buyer appointment, and to actually measure the fridge hole. So then that way they know whether or not their fridge is going to fit. And what I've always learned is that if you get the consumer into the logistics, you're more likely to move into a deal. Now, the most important part to drive that level of competition is to understand the urgency of the buyer. Now, if you know that a buyer needs to buy because of their particular situation, then you can use that as negotiation leverage. Now, negotiation leverage is a really important part of what we do, because what you're doing there is you're understanding that they're needing to buy by a certain date because they're moving from London, all the above, and that actually now allows you to know that you can actually leverage them more in that negotiation, as opposed to a buyer who's like, oh, I need to buy at some point. Now, here is the key component. To understand urgency, you must work the problem, timeline, and destination. What is the reason why they're looking to do the transaction? What timeline are they working with? And what destination, in other words, location and price point, are they considering? Now, why that is important is that when you want to drive that competition, is you want to get them to the property before we go to launch. Now, this is what a lot of agents have misunderstood. Off-market is not just some kind of light way of listing a property with a low level of commitment. Off-market to me is pretty much everything that you do apart from launching it on the major real estate websites. So the styling, the photography, the videos, getting copy of contracts, getting buyers through the property, getting price alignment, making everything happen. So we've actually had those buyers come through and get an offer at the photo appointment. Do all of that so that the moment that we launch, we've got the best price guide to get the best buyers to the property at that particular point in time, to drive the competition, to allow us to make the decisions about whether or not we should be selling prior to the auction, on the day of the auction, or even potentially the week or 2 weeks after, because that is the right thing to do by our owners. Now, your job is to create that competitive environment, and you do that through better quality marketing to make sure that you get the right buyers there, doing your off markets correctly, so that the moment that you launch to go on market, you can really drive that final part in the competition to arrive at the best sale price. That's your job. Be a great agent, drive the urgency regardless of the market conditions of the day. We look forward to seeing you next week.